My grandpa on my mom's side, we called him Paw, simply P-A-W. Paw and Mama too. I've told you the story of Mama too about keep swinging the bat. Let me tell you a little bit about Paw. Several things about Paw. As a young man, oh, he could jump. He could jump a long ways. In fact, he'd have contests as he's a young man about jumping, and he could out jump a lot of people. And as an older man, he and my dad, they'd play checkers a lot at nighttime. My dad would go off to work, my pa would go off to work, but at nighttime, we lived near each other, and we'd often go over to Pa and Mama Two's house, and Pa and my dad, they'd play checkers. And my dad loved trying to beat Pa in checkers. And my dad won a lot of those games, but Pa was a good checker player too. As a little boy, I would play Pa in checkers at times, and sometimes Pa would let me win just to encourage me. I was thinking today about one of my most precious memories of Pa just showing me how much he cared for me. I was a little boy. Oh, yeah, I was a little boy. And I always wanted things. Man, I wanted stuff. I'd get things in my mind and I'd give hints, and I guess I just would make flat out requests for things that I wanted. See, boys know how to ask for things, and I was no exception to that. As a little boy, I knew how to ask for things, and I'd ask my dad for things, I'd ask my mom for things, and we were rather poor. We really couldn't buy a lot of things. But, for some reason, I got this big idea about something that I wanted. Yeah, there's something I really wanted. I did. I wanted it. And there's a reason that I wanted it, because I'd seen some men with this, and I'd seen what they had done with this. And this item, oh, I wanted it. Oh, if I could just have that, I'd be so happy. Oh, I really, really, really want this. And I started, lobbying for it and requesting it. And oh, it'd be so wonderful if I had this item. Yeah, I'm trying to get you interested in what item it is. Well, what item do you want? What is it that you really, really wanted? Well, I'd seen some cowboys with this item, and I'd seen them do something with this particular thing, and I wanted to be able to do that with that thing. What did I want? Oh, I wanted me a rope. Oh yeah, I wanted me a rope. Get me a rope so I could swing it around my head with that lasso and go out there like all those cowboys and lasso me. Lasso me a steer, and oh yeah, if I just had me a lasso, get me on that horse, and whoo, I could be one of those cowboys. Oh, I want me a rope. I wanted me a rope, and my dad couldn't afford to buy me a rope, and he is too busy working. And my dad's always been so good to me, but for whatever reason, he just for whatever reason couldn't get me a rope, and my mom couldn't get me a rope. And so I'm just asking everybody, Mama too. I'm asking cousins. I'm wanting me a rope so I can take that rope and lasso me a steer. Yeah, get me on that horse and. Can you imagine a 6-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy, 6-year-old boy out there with a lasso and lassoing a steer off his horse? Yeah, you can imagine that, can't you? But that's what I wanted. Oh, I wanted it. I want me a rope. Oh, if I could just have me a rope. Well, I got talking to Pa about it. Oh, if I just had me a rope. Well, son, what would you do with a rope? Oh, I'd be able to go out there and lasso me some cattle. Oh yeah, Paul, I've been seeing how those cowboys do that and how those workers do that. And Paul, if I just had me a rope, I could do that too. Oh, Paul, I wish I had me a rope. Well, I kept talking to Paul about it. Probably for several days. Finally, my Pa said to my mom, he called my mom over and said to my mom, he said, now I want to buy this boy a rope. I'm going to give you some money, and I want you to go down to the store and take this boy down for me. I can't go right now, but take this money and you go down there and buy this boy a rope. This boy needs a rope. He said, now, boy, I want to talk with you. Now, boy, you're not allowed to play with this rope unless you can get your dad or your mom or me or Mama too to be with you. Son, I'm afraid you'll get yourself hurt with this rope. Only when we're with you, for right now, only when we're with you can you have this rope out and play with it. See, my pa was afraid that I might hurt myself somehow. And he wanted to keep me safe, but he wanted me to have my rope. And so we figured out how much the rope would cost. He knew about how much it would cost per foot. You go down to that hardware store and they measure out the rope. And he got his change together. Let me tell you something. Paul worked hard for his money. I think back even right now about it, how my pa sacrificed. He probably did without some things to buy me that rope. I still remember to this day my pa giving money to my mom to take me down to that hardware store and buy me a rope. And we got a piece of paper out, me and Pa, and we're figuring out how much this rope is going to cost. He's showing me arithmetic. He's showing me how to calculate. And we're sitting there with a piece of paper and a pencil. We didn't have a pen, we had a pencil. And we took that pencil and we started counting how much all that rope would cost. And finally, we discovered how much rope that we could buy, because we had to make sure we had enough money for tax. My pa said, you just don't buy the rope, but you got to pay sales tax on it. And so we're calculating the sales tax and want to make sure we had enough money and maybe have 2 or 3 pennies back, And so we're calculating, and I could get 18 foot long of rope. Oh, yeah, I got me an 18-foot rope. We went down there, and they pulled that rope out, and we began measuring how much. And I was telling this man who was helping us get this rope, I said, my pa is buying me this rope. My pa is giving me the money to buy this rope. It's going to be my rope. I'm going to make me a lasso with it. I'm going to go out and lasso me some cattle with this. Oh, I had big dreams with that rope. Well, the man measuring it out, he said, well, I want to make sure we give you enough now. Let's see, this 17 feet, this 18 feet. Well, maybe in case that I've measured wrong, let me give you just a little bit extra. And he gave me several extra inches. Oh, not several extra feet, but it probably was 18 and a half feet. Maybe 18 feet and 9 inches. He gave me several extra inches to make sure that he hadn't cheated a little boy. I remember that to this day, too. At the hardware store, they didn't want to cheat you. They wanted to go extra. Rather than getting less, you got a little more. Even though they only charged me for 18 feet, you got a little extra, a little more. That's the way it ought to be done. Shouldn't be cheating one another. Ought to give a little extra, not a little less. Well, I got my rope home, and I tried to make a lasso. I didn't know how to make a lasso. Finally, one of my cousins, my cousin Joey, Joey, Joey helped me, and probably, I don't know, William probably helped. I've always loved my cousins. And they're helping me make me a lasso, and they're helping me. They're playing with my rope right along with me. They were all older than I was. And here I was, I want my rope, let me try. We're all trying to rope things, with that rope. And my mom and dad, they're enjoying watching a boy outside having a good time with a rope that my pa made sure I got. Grandpas have a big influence on the family. My grandpa taught hymns. He taught singing schools. He was a very ordinary man in many ways, but he knew something about music. He taught shape note singing schools out in the country, these little country churches. He'd teach them how to sing. And my mama, too, oh, she could sing that alto. She was a strong alto singer. And my pa, man, if it was in shape notes, he could sing it, brother. He knew all those do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, dos. Oh, he could read those shape notes. My mom still can. But my pa taught me about being generous. He took his own money to do something for his grandson. I'll never forget it. I won't forget how that my mom took me down there, and I won't forget how that hardware man, he made sure he didn't cheat me. Oh, we shouldn't be cheating one another. There's a lot of things that I learned through these little episodes in my childhood that helped me to this very day. Oh, I want us to be generous. I want us to look for ways to, well, just do some nice things for one another. And I want us to be careful. I don't want us to get hurt with ropes or hurt with anything. Yeah, I'll have to tell you sometime about some of the different times I got cut up and broken arm and just different things. I'll tell you some more of these stories. There's a lot to be learned. I want all of the children to have wonderful childhood experiences. There's some tragic things have happened to some boys and girls, and that's not God's will. No, our children ought to be safe and secure and well taken care of. And they need to be taught the Word of God. And the best time to get saved is when you're young. And the best time to serve God is all lifelong. When you're young, when you're a young adult, when you're middle-aged, even when you're old, you ought to still be serving God and rejoicing in the Lord. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again I say, rejoice. May God bless.